G2 opened their split with a dominating performance over Splice, closing out the game in under 23 minutes. While the game didn't really feel like it was over until a 16-minute Herald fight that catapulted G2 into a 6k gold lead, it never really looked like Splice had much of a chance to contest the match as G2 controlled it from the get-go. Today, we're going to look at how G2 track the enemy jungler and how they play with the information they have. After draft, it's easy to see that G2 have the stronger level 1. Braum, Sylas, and Nico are all strong champions to force invades, and Lucian with his passive can help stack Braum's passive effectively. On Splice's side, the only notable champion they can play around in a level 1 is Rakan. With this in mind, Splice will look to play defensively. G2 on the other hand has an array of options with their level 1. At the start of the match, Splice default to a defensive line of scrimmage, spreading all 5 players throughout jungle entrances to look for any signs of an invade. At 50 seconds, G2 stack with 3 members and move into the top side of the jungle, forcing Xerxes out and warding the Raptor pit. While this might not seem like much, this ward can give G2 a lot of information. Splice suspect that G2 might be inside their jungle, so they group and move in. This ultimately just tells G2 that Rek'Sai is starting topside. From there, Jankos knows that Rek'Sai will either go to Krugs or path down to bot lane. The ward does give room for Xerxes to avoid it, as you can path around it from the backside, but lack of information is also information in a sense. If he doesn't go past the ward, then Jankos will know he went bot side. In the current meta post 9.9 scuttle changes, a lot of routes revolve around taking Krugs as soon as possible, as this camp gives the most experience. Killing them earlier means they respawn earlier, and the first Krugs camp done for the jungler grants 30% reduced experience, so removing the restriction early is also good. Routes that include Krugs are also the only possible jungle path that grant level 3 after 3 camps, hence the value of doing the camp early. At 2:15, Rek'Sai shows up on the level 1 ward that was placed. It's fairly obvious that the route so far has been read into Krugs into Raptors, which means that the only camps left for Xerxes are in the bottom side of the map. At 2:33, Caps wards the bot side of the river to cover for J4's bot camps and also to cover a gank path, and at 2:38 he pings the top side, probably to signal that Rek'Sai could be there. At level 3, Rek'Sai could look to gank one of G2's pushing solo lanes instead of going bot side, looking to only clear those camps after a gank and a reset. While this has been going on, Jankos did red buff into a full top side clear and then moved back to bot side. Before going bot, he moves behind Caps. He's responding to the possibility of Rek'Sai being in river, looking to gank, and is just shadowing Caps to give him more safety as he wants to push out the wave and look for an early recall. If Rek'Sai shows up from either side looking to gank, Jankos can respond with a counter gank. Now, with Rek'Sai presumably on bot side, Jankos clears his own bot side and recalls. He has no interest in going into river to look for scuttle because of the matchup. In an isolated 1v1, Rek'Sai will likely win the duel against Jarvan. At 3:40, Xerxes shows up on the ward placed by Caps. He then moves into the G2 jungle to pop the Shakarez bloom and checks that Jankos' bot side is cleared. Jankos is the first to back and runs straight to the topside scuttle. Based on the level 1 ward, G2 also know that Xerxes' path was read into Krugs, into Raptors, into 2 bot side camps and also the bot side scuttle. This means that the first camp to respawn will be Krugs. Jankos invades and spots Rek'Sai at the second Krug spawn. He moves to contest because he has priority in both his solo lanes, meaning that they can move first if Rek'Sai commits to a fight. Jankos steals the camp and moves to Xerxes' Raptors, which is the next camp to respawn for Splice's jungler. Luckily for Jankos, Xerxes misses a smite and Jankos steals away the big raptor. In the end, Jankos ends up with a level lead while always keeping tabs on the enemy jungler for the first 6 minutes. Much of this was due to the level 1 ward and also how his laners played around him to exploit that information. Now let's look at their matchup against Origin. In this game, Jankos is on Jarvan again, but in a different matchup. Against Sejuani, Jarvan can look to outpace as he clears faster, and in an extended fight with Conqueror, he can have the upper hand. After doing a similar clear to the Splice game, which was red buff and then all 3 camps on the other side of the jungle, he moves into Origin's jungle to look for Sejuani. He wards the Raptor pit and pops the Shakarez bloom and sees that Krug's camp is up. This likely means that Sejuani is on the top side of the map. In the meantime, while Jarvan was clearing bot side, Caps warded the topside river, which can protect him on his weak side and also spot out a potential invade if Sejuani looks to take the enemy Raptors, or move into Krugs to leverage Cannon's lane priority versus the Vladimir. At 3 minutes and 20 seconds, Cold pops the Shakarez bloom, which confirms Sejuani's position close to the Scuttle Crab. So after doing Raptors, Jarvan goes back to the bottom side to get his own Scuttle Crab. Now on bot side, Jankos knows from an earlier invade that Sejuani did Raptors but not Krugs, so it's likely that Cold will reset and look to do Krugs into Raptors. He moves in and wards the Krugs, but it's his first ward in the Raptor pit that ends up spotting Cold moving for a mid gank. The wave was in a really good position for a gank as it's right outside the turret range and Caps has to extend and expose himself to get the farm. What Cole didn't expect was that Jankos would be behind him and Umayan himself would look for a level 3 teleport flank on Xayah. In any case, this all works out because of how Jankos played the matchup. He knows he's in a position where he can invade and look to grab extra info, and the ward plus Scryer's Bloom gives him information on what the opposing jungler might do next. Jankos is often praised by the community, but a lot of fans mention he has it easy with excellent players across all positions. While this is true, his knowledge of how to pass in the jungle according to matchup and information given, while also using his laner's advantages really stood out to me. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.